With the potential for an uptick in cases, one Southeast Kansas rural hospital says they're using lessons they've learned through the pandemic to guide them in the future. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with those details.
One congressional crisis averted, another to go. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on lawmakers' to-do list before the holidays.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. The OMICRON variant of COVID-19 has been detected in 7 states, including Missouri and the St. Louis area. Though it hasn't been found in this area, health professionals say its arrival is imminent. One rural hospital in Southeast Kansas says it's ready for it and using its lessons learned from previous case spikes. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more.
In November, the Wilson Medical Center administered 419 COVID tests. Of those, 60 came back positive. Those numbers look better compared to numbers from last November, when they were getting about 1,000 positives per month. With the new COVID variant gaining national attention, the rural Southeast Kansas health system tell us that they feel confident they can handle it after dealing with previous variants.
Ever since the actual pandemic has started, we put a COVID task force in place so that we could meet and discuss what we needed to do to help take care of our patients. And so we've actually feel very good about ready to take care of a patient if we need to.
They've since started administering new treatments as well.
Treatment that can help with the COVID to kind of slow that down.
But what the Wilson Medical Center really wants to get across is their dedication to making healthcare accessible to rural areas, something the pandemic really created a need for.
When the Delta variant came and we had some patients that were definitely, needed to get to higher level care, and so we needed to make sure that we were able to actually get them transferred. I mean, we learned a lot through that helps us prepare just a little bit better, makes us a better organization by able to take care of patients, finding answers.
While they say they have grown as a hospital, they're not done.
We've grown through going through this. We're, learning and actually, it's like, I think it's going to always prepare us for a little bit, better down the road.
In Neodesha, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Wilson Medical Center is now coordinating with other hospitals to quickly transport patients to higher levels of care when necessary, of course. New travel requirements go into effect next week for inbound international flyers. The guidelines come as the Omicron variant pops up in several states, as we heard about. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has more.
Just as travel ramps back up, the Omicron variant is fueling a wave of new restrictions. Beginning Monday, international travelers must provide a negative COVID test within 1 day of their outgoing departure into the U.S. President Biden saying as of now, his administration is not considering any new measures for domestic travel.
The measures that I announced yesterday we believe, are sufficient to deal with the proper medical precautions to deal with the spread of this new variant.
The new guidelines come as more than 36 countries confirm Omicron cases. Here in the U.S., several states have now reported infections, including California, New York, and Nebraska. The CDC says it's also working to investigate suspected cases of the new strain in other states. Many of these early infections have involved mild symptoms.
There's every reason to believe that if you get vaccinated and boosted, that you would have at least some degree of cross protection, very likely against severe disease.
CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says the Delta strain still accounts for more than 99% of all infections, but adds, regardless of the variant, protection measures should stay the same.
Getting vaccinated if you have not already, and getting a booster dose if you are eligible.
The Biden administration is also extending the mask mandate for airplanes, buses, and trains into mid-March. At the Miami International Airport, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Workers at the Pittsburgh Fire Department say they've responded to 2 carbon monoxide poisoning incidents recently, and officials there want you to know how to avoid the same fate. The first tip is pretty simple here. Have a carbon monoxide detector. Make sure it has fresh batteries. Test it at least once a month. If it goes off, leave the house. Just don't ignore it. and call your local fire department. Some road work is set to begin in Joplin next week, which is going to cause some closures. On Monday, crews are going to begin preliminary work for the 32nd Street widening project. That work is going to include removing trees from right-of-ways adjacent to the street from Schifferdecker and Central City Road. There could be temporary lane closures at different locations along that stretch. Also, Country Club Drive from 26th Street to 32nd Street is going to be closed from Monday through Friday to fix sewer lines under the road. Drivers on I-44 should also be aware of some road work that starts next week. Crews are going to be updating electronic signs in several locations in Jasper, Newton, and Lawrence counties on both the eastbound and westbound sides. MoDOT says drivers should expect some shoulder closures and possible lane closures. Congress may have just avoided a federal government shutdown late last night, but that doesn't mean they're much closer to their holiday break. After a year of procrastinating, they still got a to-do list that's a mile long, just a month to get it all done. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. with more on what lies ahead this December.
With one congressional crisis averted, it's on to the next. Lawmakers must raise the debt limit by December 15th. If not, the Treasury Secretary says a default will cause catastrophic damage to the economy.
Why haven't they taken care of this? Why do they put the financial jeopardy of America on the line?
Thursday night, Congress was able to sidestep a government shutdown, passing a bill to extend funding until February 18th. Beforehand, Senate leaders allowed a Republican-led vote to defund the president's vaccine mandates, which failed.
This has always been about jobs. The government is spending too much money, feeding inflation. Short-term gaps just never seem to work in this situation.
Also on the list, most Democrats believe they'll pass the nearly $2 trillion Build Back Better bill by Christmas.
I think it will.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, I'm an optimist.
Republicans are adamant that is not what Americans need with inflation already at record highs. The president pushed back on their claims it will drive up costs.
We need to cut costs further for families. That's what my Build Back Better plan does. Two of the leading rating agencies on Wall Street confirmed this month that my plan will not add to inflationary pressures.
Congress is also behind on passing the National Defense Authorization Act. Democrats are blaming Republicans for the holdup. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Lawrence Stewart served in the U.S. Air Force from 1959 to 1981. We are proud to thank and salute Master Sergeant Lawrence Stewart. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug Heddy's up next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later, Lamar and Webb City aiming for state championships tonight over in Columbia. Highlights in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a great Friday for us today. Temperatures all week long were fantastic as we were either into the 60s or 70s for afternoon highs, which, hey, that's pretty good. Average highs only about 51, 52 degrees for this time of the year. Great shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Parking lot filling up Friday night heading into the weekend. And our temperatures pretty good. Again, for us today, we set another record high. This is 2 days in a row. We went up to about 74 this afternoon. The old record was 73, but you can see everybody fairly warm. Weak little front has slid through over the past few hours, so now we're dropping back into the mid-50s. I think most of us will go into the mid-40s later on tonight, which isn't bad for early December, but our southerly wind is gone. Now we kind of switch back to this northerly wind, and that's what we're going to have as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Outside, right now, 7th and range line, currently sitting at 56, north winds 5 to 10, humidity is at about 72%. We've had a few clouds kind of streaming through, but in general, we've looked pretty good for us today. You can see the clouds increasing a bit to our south. There's a very weak little wave right across northern parts of Texas, but the main jet stream is way up north. So this little system, it just doesn't have much in the way of energy. It's going to give some clouds over the weekend. Will give us a few showers tomorrow night. But besides that, not much going on. But the pattern right around the corner is really going to pick up as we head into next week, and especially by next weekend. Let's go through tonight. Mid-40s, overnight lows. Looks fine. as we work through the overnight hours. As we work into Saturday, our winds will switch out of the east. It is going to be cooler tomorrow, but I do think we'll get up into lower 60s for afternoon highs, and most of the day looks pretty good. We are going to have a lot of clouds, 46 to start, 57 by noon, high temp at 63, an easterly wind at about 5 to 10. Winds switch to the south tomorrow night, and here come the clouds. With it, we are going to get some random light showers into the area. These are going to be hit and miss. It's not a big deal, just some random light showers into Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, fantastic. We go near 70 for a high, and then a very strong cold front's going to slide in by the time we head into Sunday evening. We may even get some thunderstorms in our southern counties, but much colder temperatures working in, and these colder temperatures will kind of settle in for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So cooler temperatures for Monday, and then on Tuesday another system comes out that could give us a few showers. Then by Wednesday into Thursday we'll start to warm things back up. We should go back into the 60s by late next week. So now we're at next Friday, and then a strong storm system rolls out next weekend that could give us rain, possibly over to some snow. So we'll keep our eyes on that. 63 tomorrow, 70 on Sunday, cooler 45 Monday. Back into the 60s late next week. Jordan?
Thanks so much. This year's Atlantic hurricane season was one of the costliest on record, and part of the reason is that it's in the top 3 for the most U.S. storms. Damages from 4 of them topped more than $1 billion each. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says Hurricane Ida in particular cost more than $60 billion. The good news is, though, the latter part of hurricane season was quieter than forecasters had predicted. Coming up, a lot of uncertainty affecting several things.
The November jobs report garnering mixed reactions. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on the challenges that economists say are still impacting the labor market coming up.
Union workers could be back on the job at Kellogg's cereal plants in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Nebraska next week. Union leaders have reached a tentative agreement with the company for a new 5-year labor contract. It would bring more money and better benefits for many of the workers. It would also make it easier for workers to move up during the next 5 years. Union workers are set to vote to ratify the agreement on Sunday, but approval is not guaranteed. Economists sharing their reaction to the November jobs report, which revealed that the U.S. added 210,000 jobs. Many believe there's still a lot of uncertainty with the ongoing recovery because of the pandemic and a new variant. Fox's Madeline Rivera has the details now from Washington.
The November jobs report is being called confusing by some economic experts.
You had the household survey that showed some gains, but then you had the payroll survey that really showed a decline in job growth.
On one hand, there's disappointment, with only 210,000 jobs added, far lower than the 550,000 that some analysts had predicted. And on the flip side, there's optimism, with the unemployment rate dropping from 4.6% in October to 4.2%. The labor participation rate, which measures the proportion of Americans who either have jobs or are looking for one, also went up slightly from 61.6% to 61.8%.
Culturally, it's the biggest thing I've been worrying about is people permanently leaving the workforce.
The Biden administration trying to tamp down concerns. The biggest gains were seen in professional and business services, transportation and warehousing, followed by construction and manufacturing.
Today's historic drop in unemployment rate includes dramatic improvements for workers who have often seen higher wages and higher levels of unemployment.
Critics, though, arguing the rise in wages isn't enough to keep up with the pace of inflation, which rose 6.2% in October.
Prices are going up even faster.
Some employers say finding workers is still a challenge.
Yeah, I look at the restaurants I work with and I see how very, very difficult it is to get people to come to work.
Some economic experts are also worried that the Omicron variant could threaten the country's recovery by deterring people from going back to work. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
All right, next, a report causing people to question the discipline of the military.
A bombshell investigation is targeting the military. I'm Marianne Rafferty with more on the thousands of explosives stolen from or lost by the armed forces. Coming up.
Lost and stolen military explosives could be posing a threat. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more on a new investigation into the thousands of stolen goods from the U.S. Armed Forces.
The military facing explosive allegations.
Fire in the hole!
According to a new Associated Press investigation, everything from hundreds of pounds of plastic explosives to possibly thousands of grenades and even landmines and rockets have all been stolen from or misplaced by the military over the last 10 years. The report found troops were not only unsuccessful in preventing explosive devices from being stolen, but that military members also lied about the thefts or failed to report them, resulting in deadly consequences.
They can absolutely be hazardous when found, whether they've been fired or not.
Back in August, one man at a scrapyard in Mississippi died after an artillery shell found at his job site exploded.
I hope that the military and whatnot, they can get a grip on missing weapons. There's innocent people out here dying.
The AP investigation also found service members are among those stealing from Army bases. Alex Krasavec and Travis Glosser both pleaded guilty for stealing explosives to use for fun and personal protection.
It was what was left over from the range that they didn't put in the junk shot for some reason. So I grabbed the ammo can.
Having it as a protection, I guess. I mean, you know how crazy the world is nowadays.
Military officials say very few personnel are responsible for stealing, adding the amount of lost or stolen explosives is small when compared to the massive amounts in any troop's arsenal. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
A sky surfer setting a new record by doing that. Good gosh. Doing something that makes many of us nauseous even though we're not the one doing it. More on this when we come back. This is cool. It's not just adults who can have fun driving a Tesla. The electric car maker now selling four-wheel ATVs for children. Now be careful, of course, wear those helmets if you get one. Any ATV for that matter, right? The Cyber Quad for kids goes for $1,900. Shipping takes up to 4 weeks, but is currently out of stock. Tesla says it's meant for children ages 8 and up. The battery has an estimated range of 15 miles, and the vehicle itself can reach a top speed of 10 miles an hour. That's really cool. All right. An American man sets a world record for spins. In an amazing extreme sport jump, Keith Edward Keeby Snyder turned a plunge from 13,500 feet up into a head-down revolution, and he went into the Guinness Book of World Records, setting an astounding record for helicopter spins with 160 full turns. 160. Snyder made his jump over the pyramids of Giza in Egypt on November 1st. Snyder said the jump over the pyramids is a connectivity to a place that's an antenna on the planet for the universe. So it means something there for him. It means something for me too. Headache. Just looking at it. Headache. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce honoring women in business. Plus, the Neosho Parks Department puts the waterfalls over at Big Springs Park back into action. Neosho's Big Spring Park, beautiful park, once featured a waterfall. It was taken out in the 80s, but now, thanks to a contribution from the Save Our Heritage Foundation, it's back. KOAM's Daniel Camp went to check it out.
Many people that grew up here in our youth, we remember this waterfall, and it kind of brings back some fond memories, maybe when of our childhood or whatever when we were here.
I heard that they were putting it in. I thought, oh, well, that's really awesome. And we saw the live feed from the Neosho Chamber on Facebook, and someone commented, oh, I remember when that was running when I was a kid. And I was like, really? Because I didn't remember it. But I think it's really awesome.
From all over the Ozarks have commented on the waterfall, how pretty it is, and you know the sound of it is restful. It's pretty neat to be able to put something back that was here to begin with.
I love it. It's not what I expected when I heard waterfall. You know, when I hear waterfall, I picture like Niagara Falls or something. But I love it. I think it's perfect.
It's very visible from the road. It's just a real nice, it's kind of Neosho at its best.
Beautiful indeed. Hey, you can check out the waterfall for yourself. Again, Big Spring Park in Neosho. It's located at 309 West Spring Street. Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce today hosted its annual Women in Business Breakfast. The breakfast served to honor the 2022 Women of Distinction. And this year's K. Lynn Webb Influential Women in Business Award winner is Dr. Kayla Riggs.
No, I had no expectations of awards. I have no need for awards. I feel like the awards are the satisfied patients, the changed lives that I get to see every day.
Congratulations, Doctor. The event was hosted in the Overman Student Center at Pitt State. Well, a lawsuit claims a popular coffee brand is skimping out on the amount of grounds in your can. According to the suit, Folgers customers can make less than 70% of the number of cups advertised on the packaging. A claim the legal filing calls, quote, unlawful bait and switch, leading customers to spend more money. This isn't the first coffee cup related incident the court system has seen. Similar suits have been previously filed against Folgers as well as Beaumont Coffee and Maxwell House. In this previous lawsuit, Folgers argued the label says up to a certain amount of cups, indicating the total cup amount may vary depending on the recipe that you're using. Dollar General is rolling out new stores to lure customers who have more cash. The company is opening about 1,000 new stores called Pop Shelf over the next 4 years. Right now, it operates about 30 of those stores, which are stocked with items for around $10 or less. The parents of a teenager charged in the Michigan school shooting now face charges themselves. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more on the tragic case and how the community is still dealing with this loss.
A Friday night vigil remembering the 4 students killed in the Oxford High School shooting in Michigan on Tuesday, but there were some tense moments. A person fainted. The cries for help caused panic in the hundreds gathered.
We're okay. We're Oxford strong.
Meanwhile, Friday, Oakland County prosecutors filed involuntary manslaughter charges against the parents of the 15-year-old suspect. James and Jennifer Crumbly were supposed to turn themselves in Friday morning, but didn't show up, prompting a search by local authorities and U.S. Marshals. Attorneys for the couple say they left the area Tuesday night fearing for their safety, and by Friday evening, they were headed back.
The facts of this case are so egregious.
Oakland County prosecutors say the charges come after evidence shows the parents bought the gun for their son and didn't store it properly. More evidence suggests the mother knew her son was researching ammunition and that he was showing troubling behavior at school.
Any individual who had the opportunity to stop this tragedy should have done so.
The day of the shooting, a teacher reported the teen drawing a picture of a gun, a bloody body, and the words, "Help me," and called a meeting with the parents. Still, no one pulled him from class.
It is causing great distress among our whole agency that this happened and that there was an opportunity potentially to prevent it.
Oxford High School may also face culpability charges. Prosecutors are weighing whether they missed or ignored warning signs. Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A bit later, Alec Baldwin speaking out.
Alec Baldwin revealing crucial details about the shooting on the set of his movie Rust. I'm Kevin Cork. I have that and much more coming your way just ahead.
Well, it turned out to be a great Friday for us today. Temperatures all week long were fantastic as we were either into the 60s or 70s for afternoon highs, which, hey, that's pretty good. Average highs only about 51, 52 degrees for this time of the year. Great shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Parking lot filling up Friday night heading into the weekend, and our temperatures pretty good. Again, for us today, we set another record high. This is 2 days in a row. We went up to about 74 this afternoon. The old record was 73, but you can see everybody fairly warm. Weak little front has slid through over the past few hours, so now we're dropping back into the mid-50s. I think most of us will go into the mid-40s later on tonight, which isn't bad for early December, but our southerly wind is gone. Now we kind of switch back to this northerly wind, and that's what we're going to have as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Outside, right now, 7th and Range Line, Currently sitting at 56, north winds 5 to 10. Humidity is at about 72%. We've had a few clouds kind of streaming through, but in general, we've looked pretty good for us today. You can see the clouds increasing a bit to our south. There's a very weak little wave right across northern parts of Texas, but the main jet stream is way up north. So this little system, it just doesn't have much in the way of energy. It's going to give some clouds over the weekend. Will give us a few showers tomorrow night. But besides that, not much going on. But the pattern right around the corner is really going to pick up as we head into next week, and especially by next weekend. Let's go through tonight. Mid-40s, overnight lows. Looks fine as we work through the overnight hours. As we work into Saturday, our winds will switch out of the east. It is going to be cooler tomorrow, but I do think we'll get up into lower 60s for afternoon highs, and most of the day looks pretty good. We are going to have a lot of clouds. 46 to start, 57 by noon, high temp at 63, and easterly wind at about 5 to 10. Winds switch to the south tomorrow night, and here come the clouds. With it, we are going to get some random light showers into the area. These are going to be hit and miss. Not a big deal, just some random light showers into Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon, fantastic. We go near 70 for a high, and then a very strong cold front's going to slide in by the time we head into Sunday evening. We may even get some thunderstorms in our southern counties, but much colder temperatures working in, and these colder temperatures will kind of settle in for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So cooler temperatures for Monday. And then on Tuesday, another system comes out that could give us a few showers. Then by Wednesday into Thursday, we'll start to warm things back up. We should go back into the 60s by late next week. So now we're at next Friday, and then a strong storm system rolls out next weekend that could give us rain, possibly over to some snow. So we'll keep our eyes on that. 63 tomorrow, 70 on Sunday, cooler 45 Monday, back into the 60s late next week. Jordan?
Doug, thanks again. Inflation is taking the party out of the events planning industry as it grapples to bounce back after a whole year of non-events. Fox Business Network's Madison Allworth is in Brooklyn, New York with more.
Events and weddings are back after everything was canceled in 2020, and they are in high demand. This is cause for celebration for those in the event planning space. But what should be a golden opportunity for these vendors is creating some problems because inflation is taking the party out of the party planning process. Bartleby & Sage is a massive catering company busy with contracts, many from 2020. Weddings that have been pushed once or twice because of the pandemic are finally happening now. But unfortunately for them, the prices from 2020 that they locked in aren't covering their new exploding costs. Take a look at how much the cost of meat and seafood has changed in 1 year. Meat is up on average over 24%, and seafood is up over 11%. The vendors that we have talked to are saying that many of them are breaking even operating at a loss on old contracts following a crippling 2020 year, which saw their businesses shuttered for months on end. An unpredictable industry just got even more unpredictable as these companies are forced to make some tough decisions.
The best analogy I can come up with is my car was stalled at 0 miles an hour, and now my car's going 1,000 miles an hour, and I'm so afraid I'm going to lose control of the car. That's been really challenging because I find that people that used to be in the industry don't want to be in such a stressful industry any longer.
Leslie is lucky that most of her main staff has come back, and that's good because they have a lot of work. Not just the contracts that were pushed from 2020, but new weddings and events too. In fact, it's projected that there will be 2.5 million weddings in 2022. That is the most we have seen in almost 40 years. So if they can make it through the old contracts, there are plenty of new clients that are ready to celebrate. In Brooklyn, New York, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
I do. Coming up in sports, going to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, on this week's game against the Broncos. Also, Lamar and Webb City hitting the field in Columbia, aiming to bring home state championships. Jacob Leonard has the highlights next.
Well, today is a big day for both Webb City and Lamar football. Both teams play for state championships in Columbia, beginning with Lamar facing Lutheran St. Charles in the Class II title game. The Tigers aiming for back-to-back state championships in year 2 under head coach Jared Beshore. Joel Beshore punches it in there for the Lamar touchdown. Tigers up 7 after their first drive. Adding to the lead here, Beshore connects with Trace Wilhite. got his guy beat all the way in for the score. After a few turnovers, though, Lamar down by 1 at half. Coming out of the break, Arlen Harris Jr. carries it in for the score. It's 21-13 Cougars at that point. Now here's Lamar's response. Logan Crockett takes the handoff outside, crosses the goal line. Tigers within 2. Now still battling, Crockett again into the end zone from a few yards out. Lamar back on top, 27-21. Cougars, though, would tie it at 27. Close game down the stretch. Less than 10 seconds left on the clock. Harris Jr. dives in for the score, and that is it. Lamar falls in the state championship game, 33-27.
Our guys like to call ourselves a brotherhood, and we played with full belief in our brotherhood tonight. We gave everything we had. There was good things that happened in the game. There was really bad things that happened in the game, but they never quit, not one time, even till the last play. And, I love this team. I love coaching these guys, and they showed us today why they're successful.
The Webb City Cardinals also playing for a state title tonight in Columbia. 10-3 Cards face undefeated Holt for the Class 5 title. Now Holt gets on the board first. Kyle Woobling finds a gap, breaks free for the Indians' touchdown. Webb City with the answer. Cade Wilson, his first of 2 touchdowns. That one from a yard out. Tie game up at 7. Cardinals force a punt, and on their next possession, Dupree Jackson gets in. He scores twice tonight. Webb City wins at 26-21. It's their 16th championship, the most in Missouri high school history. The Kansas City Chiefs are 7-4, sitting in first place in the AFC West. After a bye week last week, the Chiefs are back in action on Sunday, hitting the road to face the Denver Broncos. Now, like every Friday night right now, it's time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, in this week's Minute with Mitch.
This week, the Chiefs play the Denver Broncos. Now, a chief concern is the 22 giveaways by the team this season. Only the Jets have more. So a question persists. Can a Super Bowl champion have that many giveaways? I researched the past 25 Super Bowl champions and found that 8 had at least 25 giveaways. But here's the irony. In the past 20 seasons, 2 teams have won a Super Bowl with 30-plus giveaways. This week's opponent, the 2015 Denver Broncos, had 31 giveaways with Peyton Manning at quarterback, and the 2007 New York Giants had 34 giveaways, but they had Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo as their DC that season. So maybe you can overcome a bunch of giveaways if you have a high-powered quarterback and a highly decorated DC. The Chiefs have both on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
That Chiefs-Broncos game will be on Sunday night at 7:20. Chiefs, by the way, are 9.5-point favorites. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Investigations into the deadly movie shooting involving actor Alec Baldwin could take months. In the meantime, though, Baldwin says he doesn't want false information spreading about what happened on the set of Rust, disclosing critical details about the tragedy in an exclusive interview with ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more.
Alec Baldwin says it's time to end misconceptions about the deadly shooting on the set of his movie Rust, opening up in an exclusive interview with ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos. The incident that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injured director Joel Souza took place during a marking rehearsal back in October. Baldwin says Hutchins was mapping out camera angles for a scene where he draws a pistol from his holster. Baldwin says assistant director Dave Halls handed him the gun and said it was cold.
Hot gun meant that there was a charge in there, and cold gun meant there was nothing in there. I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I let go of the hammer, bang, the gun goes off.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
Horror quickly taking over. Hutchins and Souza were hit.
She goes down. I thought to myself, did she faint? The idea that someone put a live bullet in the gun was not even in reality.
Several lawsuits allege safety procedures were scrapped to cut costs, with the film's armorer in charge of the weapons also hired as the prop master. Her lawyers say she was stretched too thin.
I got no complaints from her or the prop department. There's one person that's supposed to make sure that what is in the gun is right and that what's wrong is not in the gun. The actor's responsibility is to do what the prop armorer tells him to do.
Baldwin says going forward, the only real question remaining is where did the live round come from? After all, it wasn't supposed to be on the set at all. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
A new children's book by Serena Williams. Hollywood Nation coming your way. Tennis star announces a new project, and a Grammy-winning rap star lands a new job. Fox's Steve Rappaport has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Jack Reacher returns, Cardi B makes more money moves, and Williams expands her resume in the Hollywood Nation. Tennis star Serena Williams is releasing her first children's book. The Adventures of Kwai Kwai is based on Williams' 4-year-old daughter's favorite doll, which has an Instagram account that was created in 2018. The story aims to teach young girls about the importance of believing in themselves. The book will be available September 27, 2022. Speaking of ever-growing resumes, rapper, actor, and fashion designer Cardi B has a new role. The Grammy-winning artist has been named Playboy's first creative director in residence, as well as the founding creative director and the founding member of Playboy's new platform, Centerfold. She will provide artistic direction across co-branded fashion and sexual wellness merchandise collections, digital editorial, marketing, and more.
Jack Reacher, parents deceased, retired Army.
And Amazon Prime Video has released the trailer and announced the premiere date for Reacher. The TV series adaptation of Lee Child's best-selling novels premieres February 4th. It features Alan Ritchson starring as Jack Reacher, a veteran military police investigator who has just recently entered civilian life. Tom Cruise played the character in the 2012 and 2016 films.
One of you's got to drive to the hospital.
Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of otters exploring their new habitat at the Oregon Zoo. Have a great, safe weekend. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.